as the graphics indicate, race 2 is about to get underway. The Hublot safety car standing by. And there, the grid of cars is set. Bjorn Grossman from pole position, Niklas Nielsen alongside him. Then it's Sam Smith and Henry Hassid, Jack Brown and Alessandro Vezzoni. Jack Brown being the fastest of the AM drivers. So to the next row of the grid, following Alessandro Vezzoni, we find Chris Froggatt, who of course was on the top step of the podium yesterday in the AM class. Then it's Vincenzo Poderlicchio, Martin Nelson, Christian Overgaard, Jens Liebhauser and Fabian Volvend, going from P11 and P12. Then it's Thomas O'Rourke, John Sawbridge, the yellow car that we saw pirouetting, and then it's Dylan and Pantelis on P15 and P16.
And it's the race-long battle between Froggatt and Brown has been one that we've been watching all weekend, hasn't it? Jack Brown really impressed on his first meeting here at Silverstone. Interesting to see if he can beat Froggatt this time round.
Yeah, and we will find out in just a few moments' time.
Hi guys, Jack Brown here. I've got pole today in the 488 Challenge at Silverstone in the Pro-Am class. Wet, tough conditions, but you know, look forward to the race. Very happy to be here. Thank you for the team. All good. Thank you very much, guys.
So Jack Brown then, who has made his debut this weekend in the Ferrari Challenge, and he's acquitted himself really rather well, Brian.
He really has, yeah. And I mean, he's mixed it with everybody and anybody, and to be at the head of the AM class on his first meeting, I mean, yeah.
Very, very good as well. We're on the formation lap then as the Hublot safety car leads the cars away, and they will be put into grid formation as they complete this formation lap of the Silverstone circuit and head towards the timing line, and the race will get underway. Sam Smith aggressive in terms of trying to generate some temperature. All the social media, if you want to be part of the Ferrari Challenge, at the top of the screen for you. I do think Sam Smith will mean business. Past the BRDC clubhouse we go then. And the cars making their way around the circuit, heading now towards the old pits complex, the National Pits Straight here at Silverstone. The Martin Nelson car, and there the Hublot safety car once again. It has been called for and has been in use a couple of times over the course of this weekend. Earlier on today, it was out for some 15 minutes. I hope they filled it up with fuel, Brian.
Yeah, it's been a very busy weekend for the safety car driver, hasn't it? They've been out pretty well every session.
Done nearly as many laps, hasn't he, as some of our racers, to be honest. So Bjorn Grossman then. Now, it was fascinating to watch Bjorn Grossman, both in qualifying and in the race win that he took yesterday, really sliding that car around. And I spoke to him a little while ago, just before coming up here, in actual fact, and he said, Dave, just like to put a show on for you. And he, you know, you can almost sense, of course, he loves it when he's P1, of course he does, but he actually really enjoys driving the car as well. He's a very, very talented racing driver, is Bjorn Grossman. Very underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that really shows as well. You know, obviously, though, sliding it around is not always the quickest way around the track. It looks good, not always efficient, but he seems to have been in control of it all weekend.
You're absolutely right. It's never, you know, even when Niklas Nielsen got you know, within a second and a bit to him, you just felt that Bjorn Grossman was playing with him, and he was in control with that, wasn't he? Yes. There's no, you know, and I've asked many drivers this, including James Gallardo, who was with us on air yesterday, of course, Ferrari GT World Champion. You know, there's no such thing as enough margin in terms of safety, but once you get sort of 1.5, 2 seconds, that's pretty comfortable. You can afford a tiny mistake there.
And a slide.
And a slide or two. There is Fabian Volvend then in the number 81 car, lady racer that races in the Trofeo Pirelli. She's classified as a pro driver, and quite rightly so. Fabian Volvend, safety car peels off, then it's the responsibility of Bjorn Grossman and Niklas Nielsen to control the pace of this rolling lap to the start. The music will build the anticipation right now. as we go green. You can see how keen Sam Smith was. He was right on the back of Bjorn Grossman, but look at Henry Hassid, who has got past Sam Smith and finds himself in P3. Nicholas Nielsen chasing down Bjorn Grossman. Sam Smith, I think he was almost too close to Bjorn Grossman right at the start of the race, but it's Nicholas Nielsen who's got his nose in front. So Nicholas Nielsen is leading from Bjorn Grossman. Bjorn at the very, very start of the race, getting overtaken by Nicholas Nielsen. So Nicholas Nielsen saying, take some of that, friend. You beat me in the first race. I'm going to have the second. And look at them weaving from side to side. Bjorn Grossman trying to find a way past the young Dane. So all changed right at the very start of the race. And if I'm absolutely honest with you, Brian, I didn't see Nicholas get past Bjorn.
No, I mean, in that first lap is when it all changes, isn't it? But we need to remember that in the Shell Copper race earlier on, it all went wrong on the first lap. They're very close together, and it's where it can all go horribly wrong.
Well, Bjorn Grossman is chasing down Nicholas Nielsen now. We'll get a replay of the start, of course, in due course, and be able to pick out why and how Bjorn Grossman did manage to get past, or rather Nicholas Nielsen did manage to get past Bjorn Grossman. But look at this, the two cars are virtually welded together. And Nicholas Nielsen trying to make haste his escape up the road, being chased by the German driver, and then it's Henry Hassid in P3. These three are leaving Sam Smith in their wake at the moment.
Yeah, we all thought Sam Smith would be up there in the lead by now pretty well, but it looks like there's a bit of a gap going between him and Hassid. He needs to claw that back.
Yeah, he does. I think he was just too close to Bjorn Grossman right at the start of the race, and he lost the momentum because he had to brake, I think, or at least let off. So Nicholas Nielsen has got some 8 tenths of margin between himself and Bjorn Grossman, P1 and P2. Another one that's on a charge, another driver that's absolutely on a charge. Up the order is going to be Chris Froggatt, who's out of position, really. He's down there, P12 in the race overall, P4 in the AMS. And Chris Froggatt will want to do better than that come the end of this 30-minute race. There is Fabian Volvend, and there is Martin Nelson. And Martin Nelson, who is P3 in the AMS at the moment, but is P11 in the race overall. So the AMS being led by Jack Brown, then it's Christian Overgaard. Great drive from Christian Overgaard to make it into P2 in the AMS. It's P8 in the race overall, and Martin Nelson bringing up the rear, as it were, in P3 for the AMS. But for the pro drivers, it's Nicholas Nielsen leading Bjorn Grossman, leading Henry Hassid. It's Sam Smith, who is P4.
So Nicholas Nielsen, he's not leaving them behind, is he? It's a 0.6 gap.
So Grossman gets a good start, look. And Nielsen here, does he hang it all the way around the outside? He jolly well does. Well, that was a real brave, bold move. You've got to have confidence in the tyres, and I have to say, I didn't see that. Nicholas Nielsen all the way around the outside of Bjorn Grossman. That, Brian, was a brilliant overtake.
Absolutely brave when you think that the tyres and the brakes are probably not up to temperature to go around the outside like that on a cold track and make it stick. It just shows what kind of driver he is and how good he really is.
Well done, Nicholas Nielsen. He's leading this race P1, but I tell you what, Bjorn Grossman is sticking with him, and they're both beginning to leave Henry Hassid and Sam Smith and Alessandro Vezzoni in their wake a little bit. Interestingly, Sector 1, Bjorn Grossman, quicker than anyone. Sector 2, Nicholas Nielsen responds quicker than anyone. So a real seesaw between the two of them in terms of sector times. They are the only two drivers that are lapping in the 2:06s at the moment.
Yeah, and it says it all really, doesn't it? They're the two at the top of the points table. They're the two drivers that are at the front of the race. And really, realistically, it looks like it's between the two of them, doesn't it? Less than a second separating them, though. One mistake and it's going to swap around. But
neither of those drivers, Nicholas Nielsen nor Bjorn Grossman, make mistakes, I have to say. Well, 204.570, 204.676 for Nielsen and Grossman, respectively.
And they've really put a gap on Hassid, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Third place.
Hassid is now 2 seconds behind them, isn't he? And almost a second behind Hassid is Sam Smith. So they've, it's the number 9 car of Niklas Nielsen, which is engineered by Formula Racing, and it's the Octane 126 car of Björn Grossman that is P2. And leader in the AMS is this car. You were extolling his virtues earlier on as he got the back end of the car stepped out there. This is Jack Brown.
Calling on all of his experience in Caterham to control that one.
That was a real sideways moment for Jack Brown, but he controlled it beautifully, to be fair. Just proving that grip is still a commodity that is not in spare capacity here at Silverstone this weekend.
It certainly isn't, is it? A cold track, and yeah, he did really well to hold on to that.
This is car number 85, which is Fabian Volvend, the lady racer. And Fabian Volvend is up to P8. Jack Brown leading the AMS is the car ahead of Fabian Volvend. That is the number 85 car of Fabian Volvend. And this is Niklas Nielsen just going through on the bottom of your picture. Then it is Björn Grossman, Henry Hassid, Sam Smith, Alessandro Vezzoni. Then it's Vincenzo Podaliccio. And Jack Brown then, the leader of the AMS, as he's really throttling that car. There's been a little bit of contact between Jack Brown and someone. You can see the rearview mirror has been turned around, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is Alessandro Vezzoni through the chicane in car number 27. And here is Sam Smith, then the British driver in car number 92. Crosses the timing line once again. It was a 2:04.427 for Niklas Nielsen last time around, a 2:04.723 for Björn Grossman. So what Niklas Nielsen is just 10th by 10th by 10th. He's increasing the gap between the two of them. It's now up to 1.1 seconds, Brian.
Yeah, looking at his sector times, he's putting in fastest times in each of the sectors as he goes along. He's just, again, we've said it before, but he's controlling the pace from the front, isn't he? I don't think that he's got it all on the line at the moment. I think he's got Grossman in hand. And he just looks to be under control.
I think you're absolutely right. It's kind of a duplicate copy of what happened yesterday, except the roles reversed, where Björn Grossman had it very much under control. Did just see the back end of the Niklas Nielsen car step out a little bit, though. That might have cost him a 100th or two. But Niklas Nielsen leads as he's heading the car now towards the Copse turn, which is turn number 9 here at the Silverstone circuit. Takes it through Copse and heads up now towards what is one of the driver's favourite parts of the track, which is this complex of Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel, and then they're out onto the Hangar Straight. And you can see here Niklas Nielsen and Björn Grossman giving it everything through this sequence of turns, if you like, taking rumble strips, curbs, almost bits of grass as well, before they appear onto this Hangar Straight. And this is where our speed trap is. And for my money, it looks like these two are both extending their lead away from Henry Hassid, the P1 and the P2 drivers. Sure enough, they are. Henry Hassid, then running in P3 at the moment, is now some 4 seconds behind the P1 and P2. So it just shows what pace they, again, they're the only drivers that are lapping in the 2:04s. And the fastest lap has just come from Niklas Nielsen, a 2:04.427.
Absolutely. But just prior to that, Björn Grossman was putting in quick sectors as well. They really are just kind of trading fast times. There's so little between them, though, and getting past is going to be a big, big challenge for Björn if he does catch up with him.
Yeah, and I have to say, catching up with him is not a foregone conclusion, that's for sure. Tell you what, Jack Brown is getting ever closer to Vicente Podaliccio ahead of him. Now, Podaliccio and Jack Brown are racing in different classes. Arguably, Jack Brown hasn't got too much to worry about because Chris Froggatt, his nearest challenger in the AMS, is running in P9. And he's got Fabian Volvend. As you see, Christian Overgaard there involved in a fight with the number 61 car of Dylan. Christian Overgaard back down there in P14, gets past Dylan, because it was P15, that becomes P14. We're with the Charles Pozzi team down there in the garage. It's the Charles Pozzi team that engineer the Henry Hassid car, and Henry Hassid currently running in P3. And here we can see Jens Liebhauser. Jens Liebhauser, the German driver, was the winner of the Trofeo Pirelli AM Championship last year. Elevated to the pro category, and Jens Liebhauser is really out of shape. He's P10, and that's not where you would expect to see Jens Liebhauser, and he's the last of the pro drivers. This is Chris Froggatt, who's P2 in the AMS. and is currently running P9 in the race overall. So, in fact, just ahead of Jens Liebhauser. The fastest lap from Niklas Nielsen at the head of the field with a 2:04.418, and this is Chris Froggatt in the number 93 car. He needs to get past Fabian Volvend before he can even think about getting on terms with his AM competitor Jack Brown, who is up there running in P7 in the race overall, but he's P1 in terms of the AMs. The 1, 2, 3 in the AMs includes this man, Martin Nelsons from Scuderia Autoropa. Martin Nelson then is third in the AM classification, running P11 in the race overall. So Martin Nelson there for Scuderia Autoropa, and just behind Martin Nelson is John Sawbridge. John Sawbridge making his debut in the Ferrari Challenge this season. Alessandro Vezzoni, who is P5. Alessandro Vezzoni is one of the longest campaigners, Brian, in the Ferrari Challenge, but he's always there or thereabouts.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's that experience of being here in it for so long, and you can pick up these wily tricks to sneak past in the traffic. It feels like he hasn't really got anything for him today, though, has he?
No, I don't think so. I think you're right. So this is Jack Brown now, who's chasing down Vincenzo Podoliccio just lap after lap after lap. He's been getting ever closer to him. He's consistently quicker by maybe 3 or 4 tenths on a lap, and therefore that's allowing him to get into this battle as well. So there is Jack Brown around and onto the National Pits complex here. There is Alessandro Vezzoni in car 27. He's running in P5. Then it is Vicente Podoliccio. Here comes Sam Smith getting closer to Henry Hassid now and lighting up both the front and rear brakes as he continues his quest to get on terms with Henry Hassid. If he could get past Henry Hassid, he'd be on for a podium this weekend, which, of course, when you're a UK driver and you're racing at Silverstone, that's the ultimate.
Oh, it would be amazing, wouldn't it?
You want to be up there, don't you? And look at this. He is closer than he's been to Henry Hassid on the previous lap. So Sam Smith doing everything. You can see how hard he's pushing that car, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, look at those discs glowing. That's incredible. And look, he's looking up the inside of him. It looks like it's only a matter of time. And there he is. There's gaps either side. But Hassid is holding him off, isn't he?
Hassid,
great driving.
Well, Henry Hassid, another very, very experienced racing driver. He's senior to Sam in terms of age, but with that comes the experience as well, knowing where to place the car to defend vigorously but fairly, and that's exactly what he's doing at the moment. And he's making Sam have to do all the work, and there's a ploy in here because, of course, as Sam is desperately trying to find a way past, he's pushing his car harder. He's taking more out of the tyres, so when it comes right to the end of the race, he may be in a better position and have less tyre degradation. And look, Sam is chucking the back end of the car out in his quest to try and get on terms. And super smooth is often the story of success, isn't it? And actually, we love the sideways, the more aggressive style of racing, that's for sure. And Sam is very, very good driver. But he's going to have to be very, very clever to put a move on Henry Hassid. I'm not saying it's impossible. He's done it before, and he can do it all over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to watch, but you just saw just now that just Smith going wide into the corner, just overcooking it, trying so hard. And as you say, it's taking life out of those tyres. And Henry Hassid just needs to stay put, and he's doing all the right things. He's in the right place on the track. He's not making the mistakes, and as long as he keeps that up, Sam's going to struggle to get past him.
I think you might be right. So Björn Grossman in super slow-mo then, the Octane 126 driver who's currently P2. Niklas Nielsen leading. This is his car, and he's leading by some 2.118 seconds. So it's just a very comfortable margin that Niklas Nielsen has built. The young Danish star going all the way around the outside of turn number 1. It was a brilliant overtake around Abbey, wasn't it? Niklas Nielsen made it happen. 15, the Stowe turn. But on this occasion, it's about the first time we've seen on the timing screen the fact that Jens Liebhauser has been warned about respecting track limits. But Jens Liebhauser is running down there in P10. He's the last of the pro drivers, to be fair, as Sam Smith continues to put the pressure on Henry Hassid ahead of him. He hasn't yet found a way past him. You can see how Sam Smith is using different lines to those of Henry Hassid as well, just trying to really hustle and unsettle the driver ahead of him. And I think, in fairness, Brian, this is the closest that Sam Smith has been to Henry Hassid now. Can he provoke a mistake out of the wily old driver? We know that Sam Smith's favourite part of the circuit is up the inside of the number 81 car goes. Chris Froggatt on Fabian Volvend. Into the pit garage as we go, but Sam Smith then through the favourite parts of his circuit here at Silverstone. It's that Maggots-Beckett's complex. He hasn't been able to unsettle Henry Hassid ahead of him. Hanger straight now, good exit out of the final chapel turn, and can Sam Smith do anything now to get on terms with Henry Hassid? He's right on him, but Hassid is going to stick his elbows out, and again heavy braking from Sam Smith as they go around the Stowe turn, which is turn 15, where track limits can be an issue for some of the drivers. We've already seen Jens Liebhauser be warned about it, and through the speed trap, Henry Hassid at 258 kilometers per hour through Vale, and then we have just the club turn to do before another lap is completed and put in the book for the drivers that are running P3 and P4 at the moment. And that was a hard charging lap from Sam Smith. Yeah. He'll have taken a lot out of himself and a lot out of the car, and what has he achieved? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. But I mean, he is just trying so hard. I mean, the race is well over half distance, and he's trying to appear big and large in his mirrors, trying to hassle him, distract him, do whatever it takes to get Henry Hassid off the line, to make a mistake. But yeah, Henry is just showing his experience, isn't he? He's just holding it together, and it looks like Sam's kind of dropped back a little bit now. Maybe he's regathering himself, and here we go, he's closed up again, regathering himself for another attack. It's close though, isn't it?
Yeah, I wondered, and I thought you were absolutely right. I thought, yeah, I know what Sam is doing here. He's just going to give Hassid a little bit of breathing space, almost lull him into a false sense of security for a lap, and then he's going to pounce again like a viper. Actually, that wasn't true at all. Look, he's on him again, isn't he? But you cannot keep this relentless pace. You know, Sam is one of those drivers who can drive anything. Do you know what I mean? And he'll take everything out of the car, but there must be a price to pay for that. You know, the tyre deg is going to be greater because Henry Hassid is able to be smoother.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So Jack Brown leads the AMS. P2 in the AMS is this car, Chris Froggatt, and we've already seen Martin Nelson, who's P3 in the AMS at the moment. Another car being warned about track limits is this man who is leading the AMS. It's car number 90, Jack Brown. And interestingly, it's always at the Stowe turn, turn number 15, where they're being warned about those track limits, Brian.
Yeah, it's trying to get every little bit out of the track, isn't it? Looking for that extra tenth here and that extra tenth there. And you're all the while pushing the limits on the track, just trying to find that little bit extra.
So Jack Brown then, who's in a battle here with Fabian Volvend, the lady racer in car number 85. Now, actually, whilst this is for pride in the race, it makes no difference to where he is in class. But, you know, if you've got a car in front of you, that's a target, Brian, isn't it? You want to get past it, you know, irrespective of what position that's going to make in terms of your race. If it's in a different class, you still want to get past the car. And
I mean, you could say, Fabio could let Chris go. But you're racing drivers. You don't want to be doing that. You're there to finish in front of the car, whatever category they're in. Letting someone pass just doesn't enter into the psyche of a racing driver, does it?
It's not in their minds at all, is it? Henry Hassid, who still has Sam Smith very much for company, 6/10 between the two. I think Sam Smith is just letting the car cool down a little bit now. He's not as close as he once was, and Hassid is... Yeah, the other disadvantage of allowing your car to cool down and regather your thoughts, of course, is that Hassid will then push, and all of a sudden the gap becomes insurmountable, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, that's instantly there's half a second between them, and that it won't take too long. Then suddenly that's a second, and suddenly he's out of reach.
Yes, you're absolutely right. No DRS in this game.
I see that Chris Froggatt's now got past Fabian Wolfend.
Oh, well done,
we've
you.
got the two AM drivers together now. We've got Jack Brown and Chris
Froggatt. This could be quite a fight.
Yeah, they're two feisty characters, aren't they?
Okay, so the fight is on for the lead in the AMS then. There is Chris Froggatt then, who has got past Fabian Volvend. Hopefully we'll get a replay of how he got past Fabian Volvend. But Chris Froggatt on the back of Jack Brown now. So onto the hangar straight they come. Here comes Chris Froggatt on Jack Brown. The lights are on full beam. And he's trying to encourage Jack Brown to make a little mistake. So he takes a slightly different line to that of Jack. He's going to try and go underneath, going through Stowe, but he's not close enough to be able to do so. Of course, what they have is Vicente Potoliccio ahead of them, who's a bit like a little cork in a bottle here as Chris Froggatt takes to the inside of Jack Brown, and that was... It almost looked like Jack had left the door open for him.
That was textbook, wasn't it? And that was very similar to what happened in the first race, actually, yesterday. Battle of the Brits, and experience counted for the most in the end, didn't it?
So Chris Froggatt now the leader of the AMS, and Chris Brown now having to defend very hard from Fabian Volvend, who's coming back now in the Octane 126 car. Another Octane 126 car here, which is the Vicente Potoliccio car that Chris Froggatt is chasing down now. Ahead of them all is Alessandro Vezzoni, who's kind of out on his own at the moment in P5, untroubled by anyone.
Yeah, but and Chris Froggatt, he's just suddenly found something, hasn't he? He's a man on a mission.
Right. So in the final 8 minutes of this race, Chris Froggatt is on a charge. He's leading the AMS, and he's flashing his lights furiously at the Fabian Volvend, at the Vicente Potoliccio car ahead. But Potoliccio is not going to let him past. Chris is going to have to fight and earn that way past, and actually the way he's gone past Jack Brown, you certainly wouldn't bet against that happening, would you?
I mean, visually he looks right on it, doesn't he? And he looks to be the quickest of that bunch.
Into the Ferrari GB garage there. And here comes Sam Smith once again on Henry Hassid. He's not given up this fight. We've got 7.5 minutes of the race remaining. Look, and it's gone from 6/10 back down to 3/10, Brian. So I think actually I was probably right. He was just allowing a little bit of air, wasn't he? He was regathering his thoughts, and he's going to go for it again now as they make their way onto the hangar straight. Here comes Sam Smith on Henry Hassid. Hassid makes the car as wide as possible to deny Sam Smith any opportunity, but also to give him the perfect entry into that Stowe turn number 15. But Sam Smith is right on him as they head down towards Vale now. But he's not close enough, I don't think. He's hard on the brakes, as you can see, and he'll just try and get underneath Henry Hassid, but...
Oh, he's hassling him now, isn't he? There's no settling for fourth with Sam Smith. He wants that podium position.
Of course he does.
And he's looking every which way he can. Henry Hassid's having to get his elbows out and make that car very wide, because Sam suddenly looks a whole lot quicker, doesn't he? It's like the car's almost come on as the race has gone on.
Right, and Henry Hassid is just beginning to look a little bit less comfortable and less smooth than he once did. So look at the different lines Sam takes there. That's...
I've seen that before on previous laps. He takes a completely different line through, doesn't he? Yeah, he's out on a quiet Sunday afternoon drive now, isn't he? He's just enjoying the view from the front.
Yeah, not convinced he would say that to you, but yeah, nice metaphor there.
He wasn't happy about not winning yesterday. He's determined to make it up. 5 out of 6 he's determined for, isn't he?
He was really grumpy on the podium, wasn't he? He was really grumpy. So Björn Grossman, though, with 5 3/4 minutes left, is...
Look at that lead the two of them have over the rest of the field.
They have massive, left them. Do you know what? It's 14.5 seconds.
It's ridiculous when you think the cars are equal.
They are in toaster in comparison to
really
where the cars are. This is extraordinary. You're right to pick that up. I hadn't noticed. 260 kilometres per hour through the speed trap. That is the fastest time we've seen this weekend.
Yeah, and the track's probably at its best condition it has been all weekend. Not that that's very difficult, but it's the two championship leaders. It's been the story at Mugello. It's the story here. The same two guys. And here comes Sam Smith again on Henry Hassid, and not quite making it stick there. It looks like only a matter of time. He's got 5 minutes to get past. Definitely looking like the quickest car now. Looking around the outside, the inside, wherever he can.
Do you know what is motivating Sam here? You and I are saying it's, of course, he wants a podium at the home track. It's the fact that he heard me say that he'll have taken more out of the tyres and therefore he'll have nothing left at the end of the race. He's metaphorically given me a sign. Was there a little bit of rubber come off there? Wonder whether that was off the Hassid car or off the Sam Smith car. But look at this. This is more close than he has been.
Yes, absolutely.
You just know. There
that
again.
line again, isn't
Oh.
it? Such an unusual line into the corner. But he's getting up the outside of him now.
Yeah, but now to try and get the underneath the Hassid car, but he's not quite close enough to be able to do so. But
again, Henry knows exactly where to put the car, doesn't he?
He places it in exactly the right position, doesn't he? Just while we've been watching this battle, may I just say the P1 and P2 that Grossman is quicker than Nielsen. He's cut the margin down to just 1.3 seconds, but we're running out of time here. We have under 4 minutes left to run in this second of the Trofeo Pirelli races this weekend, where Sam Smith is desperately trying to put his feet on that P3 on the podium for the Trofeo Pirelli Pro drivers. Right, now he'll be setting up perhaps a move. It won't be through Copse, but it will be as they head towards Maggots, Beckett's, and perhaps as they exit Chapel onto the Hangar Straight, if Sam Smith can get a very, very good exit there, and if Henry Hassid plays ball, yeah, like he's going to do that.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, Sam's dropped back a bit there, hasn't he, again? It's, you know, he's just... It seems to be an attack and then dropping back and then an attack. You just wonder whether he's overcooking the tyres again. Just in the meantime, I see that Fabienne Wolfen has got past Jack Brown, so we've got her in between the two AM leaders now as well.
That's a nice little cushion for Chris Froggatt, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of been his form most of the weekend, hasn't it? He's come through and the experience has shown.
The battle for P5 in the AMS is between Thomas O'Rourke and Christian Overgaard. There's Christian Overgaard in the number 45 car. Thomas O'Rourke in the all-blue Rosso Corsa car that you can see there. They're both chasing down John Sawbridge, who's running in P12. We have 2.5 minutes of the race remaining. Niklas Nielsen, is he playing with Björn Grossman? Because he's just increased the margin by a couple of tenths. This is Martin Nelson, who once again is heading towards a P3 podium place in the AM classification. He's running in P11 in the race overall. Is Martin Nelson, who's got his wipers on now. I'm just beginning to wonder whether we're seeing some raindrops. Then there's this battle going on between Thomas O'Rourke and Christian Overgaard. Christian Overgaard and Thomas O'Rourke are side by side here. It's a long way around the outside for Christian Overgaard. He has to dial out of that, and Thomas O'Rourke can breathe again for another moment as the hard-charging number 45 car is denied that P13 place overall, but it is the P5 place in the AMS.
We've actually seen very little in the way of overtaking in this race, but it has been tense, hasn't it? It's like a game of chess, isn't it? Where everyone's staring at each other, trying to psych each other out, and you're just kind of waiting. You only need one person to make a mistake, and it all changes around.
The Hassid-Smith battle, which we're not watching at the moment, there's now 6 tenths between them, so I rather feel that Sam Smith has probably taken everything out of the car that he could in his quest. I mean, a valiant effort by Sam Smith to try and get on terms, but hasn't been able to do so. John Sawbridge then it's Thomas O'Rourke and Christian Overgaard, and Overgaard knows that he's got the pace, but it's all very well having the pace. You've got to try and find a way past, and Thomas O'Rourke at the moment is not making it very easy for him, and why the heck should he? So Christian Overgaard and Thomas O'Rourke are fighting hard. This is the P1 driver, Niklas Nielsen, who last time around extended the margin that he had to 2 seconds. When he crosses the timing line on this occasion, it will be the start of the last lap for Niklas Nielsen.
And he's got such a lead over, the two of them have got such a lead over Henry Hassid. They've almost got time to stop for a cup of tea, haven't they?
It's 18 seconds. It's unheard of, isn't it?
That's
the
ridiculous.
Pace that these two...
Yeah.
It has dropped from the 205s to the 205s, but in fairness, the rest of the pack have dropped from the 205s to the 206s, and that's just natural degradation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the track's getting a bit slower as well.
Being tired, I should think.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend, but I see that that Niklas Nielsen, I mean, he put his fastest lap in on lap 4, which was some time ago, and I think the track is not getting any faster, and the tyre wear, and yeah, it's. I think they're all kind of probably going to be quite pleased to see the checkered flag at the end of this one.
Well, Nielsen has not really put a foot wrong. I mean, his overtake at the start of the race around the outside of the first turns was a thing of beauty, it has to be said, and he really did that very, very well indeed. He's got a number of corners still to do, but with the margin that he has got... Oh, and John Sawbridge has gone around in car number 39. Now, he was ahead of that battle that was going on, of course, with Thomas O'Rourke and Christian Overgaard. So I wonder if he went round on his own or whether there was a provocation there. Who knows? Well, potentially we would have seen a replay of that, but we're on the final lap now, and we're going to make sure that we follow the leader across the line, and he's onto the hangar straight now, so he's got 4 more turns to do after this hangar straight before he will see the checkered flag and take the win. So Niklas Nielsen here with a 2.5 second margin. He's checked out already, hasn't he? And fair play, Niklas Nielsen has done a very, very good job. He's been consistently quick. To be fair, fastest laps have been traded between himself and Björn Grossman, who has been chasing down in P2. But on this occasion, it is Niklas Nielsen that is going to take the superior P1 position as he heads towards the checkered flag. He wins, Niklas Nielsen, P1. P2 goes to Björn Grossman. P3, but we could brew ourselves a cup of tea before we see the car cross the line. He's going to be Henry Hassid, and Sam Smith hasn't given up yet, Brian.
He's still on him. It's not all over yet.
Oh, goodness, look at this.
Right off the track.
Fantastic race between those two for P3 and P4, Henry Hassid and Sam Smith. And it's going to be Alessandro Vezzoni. And then it is going to be Vicente Portaliccio that did hold on to that P6 place. Chris Frogger, the best of the AMs. Fabian Volved. Then it's Jack Brown, second best in the AMs. Then it will be Jens Liebhauser, who will take P10 ahead of Martin Nelson, who will be the next best of the AM drivers. So Octane 126 team. Here comes Martin Nelson then. He will cross the line P11, but he'll occupy the final podium place for the AMs. Thomas O'Rourke and Christian Overgaard have fought, haven't they? But Thomas O'Rourke is going to lead Christian Overgaard over the line. Then it will be Sawbridge, Dillon and Pantelis to bring all the cars home, Brian. And wow, what a race. As you say, not that many overtakes, but plenty for us to talk about.
And very, very tense.
So Niklas Nielsen taking the win from Björn Grossman, P2. And this was Chris Froggatt. And Vicente Portaliccio, just a little bit of panel rubbing there, you know.
I saw something go flying up in the air off the car.
Oh, this was close, wasn't it?
That's quite a rub.
And, OK, this is Sawbridge. Now, you remember we saw Sawbridge going round, and I wondered whether he'd have been provoked into that.
Yes.
And it was Christian Overgaard that tipped him out.
Poor old John's had a bit of a weekend to forget this weekend, hasn't he?
He'll come back, won't he, at Spa? That's for sure. So we await the car's arrival in Parc Fermé then. And I feel a bit for Sam Smith because he really, really tried hard, didn't he, to be on the podium for his home race.
You could see he wanted it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, he was eager. He did everything he could, but experience just won out on that one. Henry Hassid just did everything right and made no mistakes. We see the first 3 in each category.
So Niklas Nielsen then making his way into Parc Fermé. Gives it a rev for good measure. Always a good sign, Brian.
I think Niklas would say normal service has been resumed. The wind out there, can't you, in the microphones?
Can you not?
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, it's really been a challenging weekend in terms of the weather for the drivers, actually for everyone that deals with the infrastructure as well.
Yeah, and that has been the story of the weekend, not just the rain, but just getting things up to temperature. It's just cold, getting tyres and brakes up to temperature, and of course the rain, which has played a significant part, especially yesterday.
So the cars then into the Parc Fermé, and Björn Grossman removes his crash helmet. There's Chris Froggatt. Jack Brown being congratulated as well. He's made a very, very impressive debut in the Ferrari Challenge, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he carries on with the series because he's definitely one to watch. He's very exciting. He's probably made Chris Froggatt look up and take notice, hasn't he?
You're right.
It would have been a much easier weekend for him without Jack Brown here.
I think when I spoke to Chris that the intention was certainly to go to Spa.
Jack.
For Jack.
Yes.
And if thing is, Brian, if he goes to Spa and performs like he has done here at Silverstone, he ain't going to want to not go to the next round, is he? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Race winner, Niklas Nielsen. He's going to look a little happier on the podium this afternoon, I think.
We might get a smile from him this afternoon.
I think you might be right there, Brian. You might be right. So stand by. We'll be bringing you the highlights of that race and that fantastic overtake from Niklas Nielsen right at the start of the race for you to be able to enjoy. And that was a really enjoyable overtake. One of the few in the race, to be honest, but very good to watch. And there is Chris Froggatt, the best of the AM drivers. Okay, let's take a look at the highlights of the race now.